Falcon Paladin. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you. I think my camera is fuzzy. Let's see
Uh,
if that fixes it.
you are fuzzy.
It
Oh, that fixed
it
it.
did.
You're a little better.
No, I don't.
You look a little better to me.
Yeah, a little better. We'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you get what you get. I mean, no?
Get the lenses smudged. I'll see what I can do later. Whatever. It's good enough.
You have a big sheen on your forehead. Are you out running or just sweating because it's 1,000 degrees?
It's 90 degrees outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be this way. Gonna be a sheen on my head until probably October. So we'll get used to it.
We'll get used to it. I mean, it is getting cold here. I am.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, you'd think. Turns out it's cold. And I don't like the deep cold as much as I like the really hot, it turns out.
Not that you get deep cold exactly, but I suppose it's a relative concept.
No, but I mean, I'm waking up and it's like 4 degrees, right? That's like 42 or whatever in American.
Yeah, that does not qualify for deep cold. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you're right, it doesn't, but it's
Okay.
it's
Is it
cold.
cold? Yes, definitely cold.
It's all on a relative scale of what you experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, then I have to get up and get on a motorbike. Like, whose stupid idea was that?
Uh, your mom's?
No.
Not your mom's. Okay.
Probably
Fair.
not hers. Probably mine.
No.
It's probably my idea. If I
Probably was
had to put a
historically.
finger on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
just so fuzzy. I'm gonna stop worrying about it. This is me not worrying about being fuzzy.
I mean, you look fine.
I don't. You are in focus. I am out of focus. These are different experiences.
You were in focus. You were just smaller in your window.
We should ask anyone who's watching. We'll get somebody watching soon, I'm sure.
Here's the thing. I can see details on your face. You're not blurry. I mean, your background's blurry, but it's Brood War. It came blurry.
Yes, sure did. Sure did.
Like you're fine. I don't see the problem.
Okay, like I said, not gonna worry about it.
Maybe it's
We're
your
good.
internet.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely the internet. Man, I had a stream today just like crash so hard immediately down to 0.
Yeah.
Mostly when it crashes, it like flits around at like 400 kilobits a second, which still isn't enough to stream, but it's not absolute zero.
Right.
It's like flitting around. It's like, we're trying to get there. Hold on. And then sometimes it recovers from that. But this time it was just like, wham, 0. And it's like, okay. And then I ended the stream and I restarted and I was like, everything's fine. So like, it wasn't an internet problem. It wasn't a them problem. It wasn't a me problem. Like something along the path for me to this server is like, gives up the ghost every once in a while. And then I restart the stream and it picks another path. I don't know what's going on. I'm not that smart.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's very annoying.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause-
I mean,
yeah,
it's not like it's your job or anything, and you need it to be consistent, and it's not like it's a service you pay for either.
right. None of those things are true.
Why would it be consistent? You don't pay for it.
Right. But again, I don't feel like it's them. Like if it was their server going down or something, then I'd reconnect to it and it would go, whoa. Right? Because the server would be down.
Right, but it doesn't have to get down. It just needs a hiccup. You get in a mode
No.
where it's on a refresh
If
or something.
if it hiccups, I can recover. Like if it's freaking out for like 60 seconds, but kind of like hanging in there,
Mm-hmm.
then everything will come back and the viewers will be like, well, there was a hiccup, but I refreshed and we're back now.
Okay. Well, how many hiccups before it looks like you're choking? Like, you know, to use
I don't know.
the body analogy.
Yeah. I mean, YouTube is very good at warning me like things aren't looking good. It throws up a big yellow flag. It's like, hey, this is not happy. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't mean we're dead. It just means we aren't happy.
Mm.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we get a hiccup, everything's ish, and then it recovers. But every once in a while, I get a hiccup that is just death. And everything is dead. So, exciting. Not exciting. I don't have answers. You don't have answers. Nobody has answers. I've been talking to like 4 different layers of Streamlabs support, and every one of them's like, "Hey, do a trace route to our multi-stream servers." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, here's the 8th one I've run in the last 2 months. Here you go. Nothing obviously wrong, huh? That's weird. There wasn't anything obviously wrong with the 7 previous ones either. It's just their basic troubleshooting stuff. I get it. Like I'm not telling them no. I just whine.
Mm, mm.
Yeah."
Okay.
That's it. Anywho, what's going on in the world out there?
I hear there was some riots or some protests, depending on which side you're looking down on it from.
Yeah, so a couple things, right? A couple different things. I think the first thing that was going on was that the city of LA is generally protesting against the actions of immigration enforcement in their city.
Mm-hmm.
That's been going on for like a couple weeks. Like ICE is showing up, they're deporting people, and I feel like there are 2 subsets of people protesting here for that. One, people that are like, fuck you, immigration enforcement is bad. People should be able to live here if they want. Doesn't matter what their status is. Those are those people.
Mm.
And then there are people who are like, I don't like how ICE is acting. I don't like they're covering their faces. They're not providing identification when people ask for identification. They're like just yanking people out of like kids out of school and separating families with like no thought for anything. And that needs to stop. Like,
Right.
we're okay with immigration enforcement if it is by the book and if it's, like, as moral as it can be here and we try to avoid harm.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just, like, running around grabbing people off the street and, acting like masked hooligans, then we don't want that to happen.
Right.
So here's the problem, is that whole thing that I just explained doesn't fit well on a sign. So you just get most people holding a sign that says, fuck ICE. And it's
Right.
like, so this can be interpreted to mean I don't want immigration enforcement at all, but you probably just mean they need to shape up their act and somebody needs to kick them in the face and make them act better
Mm.
than they are.
Mm.
So it's tricky. Like most protests are, right? It's usually, sometimes protests are pretty straightforward, right? Like the protests for George Floyd were basically like, this guy got murdered. We like the person that killed him to be convicted of murder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Straight up. We get that. Civil rights activists were like, we just like the same rights as white people. It's clear. Got it. Like, no confusion there, right?
Yeah, not hard to put on a side.
No, definitely not. But other protests are just confusing and harder to get the messaging that simple. So anyway, that's been happening in LA.
Did you see any of the No Kings protests in Salt Lake?
I did not. I didn't leave my house on Saturday, but I saw some video and some pictures, and there was a crazy incident. So I hesitate to kind of explain what happened because I'm not 100% on what happened.
Mm-hmm. You weren't there.
But
so,
I wasn't there. There have been news reports and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But basically what happened was some dude was walking around with a rifle. And somebody there who is in the role of a peacekeeper, which I guess is like, you've been designated as part of this protest to like look out for trouble and try to spot it. But you're not a cop.
An open carry state? Like you can just walk around?
I think it is.
You said this person had a rifle.
Right. So yes, open carry is permitted if you legally own a gun without a permit.
Yeah.
Unless you're at a school or like a government building, then you can't.
Right.
Which I've always said, like if someone's in a school to cause trouble, like can we just bring it out in the open? It's easier to catch them than if they pull out a gun later, I just don't know anybody who's like, I'm going to open carry and I'm going to shoot someone, but if I'm conceal carry, I'm not going to shoot anyone.
Okay, but what about like you go, okay, it's legal to have your gun out while you're in a school, right? We get rid of this law. And some mum takes her AR-15 to pick her kid up from school and everyone goes, call the police. And you have that every 20 days,
Yeah.
Because there's people who legitimately just have their guns out at school, and if that's okay. It's easier just to go, no, we'll assume if there's a gun out, we need to call the police, and that's what that law's doing.
Yeah, that's fair. Just saving time. I don't know that it keeps anybody safe, but
Oh,
yes, I can see that.
I mean, sometimes laws are just about being efficient. It's not.
Just helping society be a little bit quicker on everything. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, so yes, so this dude is in Salt Lake City during the No Kings protest.
Mhm.
And I think the story goes he pulled it out of a bag. Wasn't like didn't walk into the scene with it like strapped to his back or just holding it, right? He pulls it out of a backpack
Mhm.
or like a bag that was big enough to hold a rifle, right?
Sure.
And this peacekeeper dude, who again, not a cop, not officially a security officer, just someone who's like, we've designated you to look for trouble during this protest. I hereby dub thee peacekeeper.
He's been deputized by the crowd.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, like the people running the protest in Salt Lake,
They
people in
made
charge.
they made an attempt to self-regulate their behavior. Is what it sounds like. That's what this person's job
Yes.
is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And I think that was pretty common in all of the cities that had these protests on Saturday, is this
Sure.
peacekeeper concept. Which is good. I
Yeah.
think if you're in a protest, you should be like look out for bad actors, and if someone's going to make us look bad because they're,
Right.
throwing Molotovs at cops, like let's take them out before that happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. Um
I do remember there was like I don't know, it was one of the protests ages ago. They all blur together. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was in response to Jan 6 or something. I don't know. There was a lot. But there was this guy being maybe it was in France. There's a little there, but basically there's all these people walking down the street, and one guy in the crowd he goes, "Hey, can you flip that truck?" And everyone goes, "No, we're not gonna do that."
right. 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 And if the majority of the people are there for peaceful protests, that's how it should work.
Yeah.
There are sometimes protests where the majority of people there are just there to cause damage and violence, and good luck, right? That's the
Right.
majority wants to do that. It's gonna happen.
Right.
But if the majority are peaceful, then they should be on the lookout for bad actors that would make everyone else look bad. Like
Yeah.
it's optics, it's messaging. We just talked about that.
Yeah. Anyway, this guy in
Yeah,
Utah.
so this guy pulls a rifle out of a bag. Peacekeeper goes, "Holy shit, a mass shooter." And he shoots him, and in the process of shooting him, misses once and shoots and kills an innocent bystander.
Uh huh.
The dude with the gun gets wounded, not killed, runs off. Gets found later because people are spreading his picture around social media, right?
Right.
They find him, they grab him, they take him into custody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, was he planning a mass shooting? Was he planning on shooting into the crowd?
Uh huh.
I've heard information that he was a No Kings guy.
Mm,
Like, there's no reason for him to want to shoot other No Kings people ideologically.
right.
But maybe he was just nuts. Like, maybe he was just a crazy person. He didn't have a reason for doing it.
So
I don't know.
if I can be so bold as to say this is entirely the issue of taking the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. It has many flaws. This is one of them. A guy turned up with a gun. You didn't know if he was another good guy with a gun or another bad guy with a gun, and someone with a gun stopped them or attempted to, and that's an issue, right? Because this guy was deputized by the people to shoot someone. Apparently, did all the other peacekeepers have guns, or did this guy just like
I
have
don't know.
one?
Yeah, right? This guy might have just had one. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know for all of them. So I get what you're saying here, but like, what if he was a mass shooter? And
What if?
is the death of one innocent person enough to save the lives of 20 innocent people?
Yeah.
Let's get utilitarian in here. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It
Yeah.
it either outlines all the issues I have with that philosophy or underlines its success.
It's tricky. Like I don't know. I've seen people on both sides try to like this proves we're right, and I'm like, I don't know that this does either way.
Well,
It sucks. Like it's just a terrible situation all around.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so this guy with the rifle, he's now in custody, and like, do we?
hmm
There's been no reports about how he's doing or what he's doing or
I'm sure they've been interviewing him for the last 4 days or
right.
3 days or whatever it is. But I haven't seen anything about his deal.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know. Hopefully in the next few days we'll have some information about it. But yeah, so like on one end, if mass shooter, holy crap, we stopped him at the cost of one life.
Uh-huh.
Utilitarian, very cold analysis says, deal. We'll take that, right?
It does it. I mean,
Again,
if you look,
entirely utilitarian. All lives are equal. You
that,
know what I mean?
yes, but you're also looking at one small part of the equation, right? You're
Hmm.
solving in the parentheses, but not the full thing, which is what if just neither of them had guns?
Yeah, I mean, what if no one had guns in America? Yes, that's a question
No,
people ask.
not even no guns. Australia doesn't have no guns. If I want a gun, I'll go get a gun. It'll take some time, but I can get a gun,
I know, but
right?
what if at the protest we said guns aren't allowed, and then this guy brings a gun in a bag
Mm-hmm.
into the crowd? Are we gonna like frisk everybody who joins the protest? Are we gonna have metal detectors? Like, how are we ensuring that this guy doesn't have a gun?
Yeah, but aren't there usually police like hanging around a protest?
Yeah, but they're not checking everyone for. They're not opening everyone's bags looking for
No, but if a
guns.
guy pulls out a gun, they should be there to do
Yeah.
something. Isn't that the
Well,
point
it's.
of
I
the
mean,
police?
it's a big area. I mean, it's a lot of people. It's thousands and thousands of people. You don't have a cop on every person. That's
Have
not how cops work.
put one every 10 people. You just put one by next to all the people who have bags. You know.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if the math works out.
Like,
But yeah,
okay,
if you're looking at
if
preventing this before step one, I get it. I
if
get where you're coming from on that.
if we're looking at this utilitarianly, and we go, okay, it's cost one life but saved dozens here.
Uh-huh.
How do we account for the dozens of lives we might lose somewhere else just because someone had a gun and there was no one else around them with guns, you know? And like
Yeah.
I think the math does not quite check out. It does in little bits like this, but I'm just not convinced about the entire equation, so to speak, you know? That's just me.
Yeah. The bigger picture. That's fair.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
Anywho, so that happened. Somehow that was the only death, as far as I know, at any of the many, 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 many No Kings protests on Saturday. Like, it's kind of nuts. Like, you have a country with 400 million guns in it, and you've got mass protests in 50, 70 different cities across the country, and one guy gets shot and killed? Holy crap. Like, that's an A plus, everyone. Way to go, America.
Yeah.
Like, I would have expected many more problems than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that sense, again, it's relative. The bar is low. But I'm kind of impressed by that.
So
Anyway.
there was an incident at Parramatta Station. Was it the train station here? So Parramatta is like the first city outside of Sydney, right? Like it is, you know, the buildings are all so packed together. It might as well be part of Sydney, right? So it's like Sydney CBD, Parramatta, where I live, then what's called Western Sydney, and then like the Blue Mountains, and that's like basically whoop whoop, for all intents and purposes. But there was a guy who was just like walking through the train station and is like, I've got a cleaver. And so there's video of police like tackling him and kicking it out of his hands and stuff.
Like a butcher's cleaver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was like a little.
Was he
one,
like
yeah.
brandishing it, or
Yeah,
like
he had
just
it.
kind of?
He had it out in his hand.
Was he like waving it around?
No, but he was like walking into a crowd. You know, like it was.
Yeah.
This was like peak commute time as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's rough.
And
Don't do that.
My brother was. I was at dinner with my brother, and his partner works at Parramatta, and we're like, oh, looking at the time, and yeah, she would have been there, like at time if she had been at work that day. It's like
okay,
neat.
Yeah, dodge that. I mean, not that anyone got hurt or anything, but yeah.
No.
Good job, Sydney police.
Yeah, score 1 for them.
Indeed.
He was probably on meth.
Probably.
Oh man, speaking of meth, I got KFC delivered the other day. This has very little to do with meth, but I tell the drivers just leave the food at the door and I'll come get it. Right? They don't have to meet me. But this guy comes up, rings the doorbell, and I'm like, okay, either he doesn't know how to read or didn't read. And so I go up to him, and you have more fingers on one hand than he has teeth. That's the math connection.
Ooh,
And
yeah,
he
okay.
goes, yeah, I just had to come up and say hi. I know you wanted me to leave the food, but I had to come and knock the door because I used to live here.
Oh, it's like, is there a stash of meth you left behind under a floorboard, sir?
That is what
Would you like to come in?
He keeps trying to like poke his head in and be like, "Oh yeah, I want to." Like I'm like, "Yeah," I'm like trying to
No,
no, maybe
no.
not. He's like, "Oh, you used to live here. That's really interesting." He's like, "Yeah, it looks like they renovated it at some point." And I'm like, I'm not using that as an excuse to let you in, dude."
No.
No, but yeah, so
That's crazy. That happened once to
yeah,
me when I was like 12.
okay,
So, growing up at my parents' house, my parents bought it for my dad's cousin, right?
mm-hmm,
And like 4 years later, one of his cousin's kids shows up at the door being like, "Hey, like I'm your second cousin or whatever.
sure,
Like I used to live here. Can I come look around?" And I was like, "Sure."
no,
So yeah, so she came in and like looked around and was like, "Huh, yeah, yep, this door locks from the outside. That was always weird. Oh yeah, yep, the trampoline's still back in the backyard. Okay, that was really neat. Thanks, bye." And I was like, "Bye." And that was it.
you had like a
I totally
hold on,
forgot that happened until your story. Yeah.
I'm much more interested in this door that locks from the outside. Was it like a
Yeah.
bedroom?
Uh-huh.
Oh, and the
But
parents were
only
just
one of them.
his parents were just like, I can lock this one away if I need to.
Right. It's an
Okay.
emergency lock the children away bedroom.
Did I send you the Instagram reel of the guy going through like a property list thing and being like, oh yeah, 2 bedrooms, whatever. Oh my
Yeah.
god, and there's a jail in the basement.
Very normal looking house, and you get down there and it's like old timey, like 1800s bars jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I've never done that. I've never been like, I want to go back to a house I used to live in and wander around inside it.
Nope. I've
I'm good.
I've if I've been driving somewhere with someone, I've gone, hey, that house there, I used to live there. I did
Totally. Yeah.
never at any point would it cross my mind to be like, let's pull in and say hello. Not happening.
No. No. But if I was delivering food to a house that I'd lived in, I'd be like, well, that's weird. I used to live here, but I wouldn't be like, can I come in?
Right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Huh. Crazy stuff. So eventually he gave up then. That's nice.
Yeah, he did eventually, which was good. When I told him like, look, I can't stand in the doorway because the cat will get out, so I'm gonna have to close this door now. And he's like, oh yeah, no worries.
Good call. Smart.
Speaking of
Well played.
that cat getting out, I was at the back door and I look over and he's like laying down in the hallway. I'm like, okay, good. I turn back, I open the door and he's out the back. I'm like, you little shit.
Whoa. He was lying in wait. He knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, he's such an outdoor cat that my mom is like, he's an indoor cat. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it works.
That's not how it works. No.
Yep.
Ugh. Anywho's. So yeah, just back to the protest idea. So the No Kings protest was on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
In direct opposition to like the military parade that Trump was holding in DC for the 250th anniversary of the military and also his birthday. Like it all kind of like came together on the same time.
Yeah.
So again, like nothing happened. As far as I can tell, the organizers of the No Kings protest were like, let's not do it in DC. Let's not give anyone an opportunity to like cause any trouble for this thing. Let's let him do his parade, but let's show him that more people are against this idea than are for it.
Yeah. Also it helps to appeal to voters. There are no voters in DC, so.
Right.
I did see some photos from the military parade. And it was like, cool, that's a neat tank.
Yeah, like an old-timey one,
Yeah,
huh?
it was like a Sherman. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I also saw photos of there being like a kind of festival area where people could come up and like lift a rocket launcher, like a javelin, what it looked like from my Call of Duty playing experience.
Right.
And get photos with rifles and stuff like that and learn about what the military does. Because I did hear that originally this parade wasn't a parade, but it was like a series of festivals where people could come and learn more about being in the military and like get hands on with presumably unloaded and safe equipment, and you just have like an air show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then Trump was like, no, let's delay it to my birthday, which I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that other than that's what happened, right? Like it happened to coincide with his birthday. And then they fished out this 250-year anniversary to cover it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like Trump.
Sounds like Trump. But the only other piece of information I have about the parade was that soldiers were not marching in particularly neat formations. Like they were just kind of walking as a group in lines. And some people were maybe upset that they weren't as precise or decorative. No, they want that snap boot marching that when you think of a military parade out of like Russia or North Korea or something, everyone's in straight lines.
Yeah, traditionally.
And people were saying, well, there's two reasons that we don't have that. One is we don't have a dedicated marching unit to like put on for parades and stuff like that.
We don't have a unit that just practices that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other one is, well, they are trained to march like that, generally, but it's like not their core thing, but they are trained to do it. And then so the alternative is that these guys were deliberately just taking it as sloppy as possible, as like a show of, we would rather not be doing this today.
A little bit of protest, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever. It's all over now. Everything. Yeah. I mean, like I said a few months ago, Americans are good at getting out and protesting and nothing changes. Like today is the same day. Like I don't know that Trump's going to change any of his behavior based on the protests.
Oh, no.
Right? So I don't know. Like I don't know what the point was. I just guess I feel like the biggest point was it was allowed people to get out and get their voices heard and feel like they were making their voices heard and being American and their freedom of speech, but otherwise, I don't know what the purpose was exactly.
I mean, assuming there's like a social, I don't want to say credit, but like if everyone gets together and says, hey, we all support this thing, and the more people see that, the more people go, oh, everyone supports that. Like if you had a...
to what end?
To, I don't know, awareness.
Right?
It's like raising awareness. It's like...
You raise awareness so people will donate money to your cause. Yeah. You raise awareness for breast cancer research so people will donate money to breast cancer research.
Something,
right?
Voting, you just need to get people out there to vote,
Yeah.
You got midterms coming up.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Like
and if the intent was to increase the voter turnout, yes.
I think the intent is to get the awareness out in the social zeitgeist lexicon hive mind. It's just to have it there, to be like, look, people are protesting. Because, like... Would it be different if people go, man, Trump's really bad, don't vote for him for his third term, and go, yeah, but everyone just like went about with their lives for 4 years. But if you go, oh, but there were like thousands of protests in one day, and they were the biggest protests we've ever seen, that probably might stick around. Maybe do it a little closer to...
maybe do it again. Yeah.
Maybe keep doing it,
yeah, maybe so.
But hey, some people might think only once is enough. Maybe some people think you've got to do it 1,000 times, but they can only get people to come out once. People do have lives, and it is something you need to balance against. It's like,
I agree.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. Look, can't do it all the time.
I had a conversation with another American friend of mine who said, like, what do you think the point of the protest was? And I'm like, I assume for the ideological reasons, like they don't want kings, right? I think that's all things that they want, but I think they're just doing it for awareness, and I don't love it, but I'll settle for awareness if there's like nothing else we're getting out of this,
Right. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I do think, again, messaging. I just feel like the left kind of sucks at messaging. Because I do think if there's someone who's just like, all they do is work and take care of their family, and they have no idea what's going on in politics, and then the news one day is like, everyone's protesting against kings, and they're like, we don't have a king? What the hell? Huh? And then they go back to their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, right? Like, oh man, they must really hate
He's
that.
like, do we have a king? And he Googles, does America have a king now? And it's like, no. And it's like, all right, I guess.
I think the more politically noisy the times get, the harder it is to find that person, who has absolutely no idea what the context of a no king sign is.
Craig in chat right now is like, I have no idea what Trump is doing to be a king. So
Oh,
there's
cool.
somebody in chat right here who has no idea what the hell is going on.
Cool. Go back to your rock under Mars. Okay, I'll give you 2 points for Trump's kingliness. King
I have
is.
one ready.
Oh, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
So one is we passed a law in 2022 that said the American president cannot deploy the Marines on American soil.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump very specifically deployed the U.S. Marines in LA to help with the protests.
Yeah.
Breaking federal law that Senate and Congress and the president signed off of back in 2022. And he's just like, I'm just doing whatever I want to do, which is abusing the power that he has in direct violation of laws that we have to prevent this kind of a thing, which is concerning. That's one.
That's one.
Yeah.
I saw another that was, again, I got this from like a screenshot that I then saw on Reddit. So take it with salt. Take it with all the salt you want, which was Trump wanted to designate the No Kings protests as rebellion, saying, and there was a quote, so I'm going to assume it was truthful, that I can decide what counts as a rebellion. Which is a very kingly thing to do.
Yeah, we have definitions for this and previous precedents set by rulings and judges, and the president doesn't get to decide what that means. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's more stuff.
Yeah.
People are worried about it.
People are worried. I did see that he was caught on mic saying that he wants his people to be more like North Korea. Someone was asking him whether or not they'll get Kim Jong-un here into the White House. And he goes, oh, maybe this, but people there, when he talks, they sit up and listen. I wish my people were like that. Holy shit, dude.
You know why they do that in North Korea, right?
Yeah.
Because you get sent to the camps.
Yep.
Or, straight up executed, one of the two, if you don't.
Okay, first one, then the other.
Yeah. Depends on how much they like you, I guess. You get the camp if they like you.
You get the camp, but your family gets the executions. It's great.
Yeah, maybe.
What a wonderful one-party system.
Indeed. Yep, so that's been going on.
Yeah, I do wonder, because I have a king as a member of the Commonwealth.
You do. Who's a figurehead with almost no power at all.
Almost no power, unless he wanted to use power, and then he effectively could have lots of power.
No, untrue.
He could dissolve Parliament.
Yep.
Which means there would be no leadership, installing himself right back to, being a king, He
can't do that.
He can.
They established the post-monarchy governmental system with a way for the king to be like, I'd like to be king again. Ta-da! Really? You guys are bad at this.
I mean, it's in the name. We didn't stop having a king,
Well, you installed a parliamentary system to replace the fact that a king ruled on everything and gave it to the people, specifically to give it to the people, with a back door to let him take over again?
Everything. I mean, it's not like we gave him a back door. He can cut a door into the wall. There's a difference.
No. If he was allowed to keep the power to dissolve parliament, you let him keep that.
Yeah. Well,
then that's giving him a back door. You could have taken that from him.
It's more like he didn't give that to us. I think there's a difference of like who gave what.
So it was him going like, I'll let you guys establish a parliament and give up most of my power.
To be fair, it wasn't him. It was
her.
Her, and I don't know, maybe her before her. But yeah. So there are two rules that I know about the monarchy in the UK. One is they can dissolve parliament. Usually they do it at the request of the Prime Minister to be like, we need to call an election. Can you dissolve Parliament?
Right. See, that makes sense to me. Call a new Parliament makes sense.
Right. The other one is they have the right to veto any policy being talked about on the Parliament floor that directly affects them. They can just be like, no, you can't talk about that. Like, you can't discuss taking away my crown, right? They can just be like, no.
Okay.
So those are the two that I know about. So if they can dissolve Parliament and you have no effective representation, who's left in charge? The king? Probably the king.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know that people would still around to take it, right? Because they are
Probably not.
figureheads. But
Yeah. And have been figureheads for a long time.
oh yeah,
Like if the monarch wanted to try that like 2 years after the change, it'd be like, well, maybe you could pull that off, right? But now, like, no way. The people are like, no, if we wanted a king, we'd let you know. Like, we're doing fine without one, thanks. Yeah.
Which I mean, wildly is a thing they did before. They got rid of Oliver Cromwell, and we're like, we'd like a king back, please. You know, this was a long time ago, but
definitely.
I guess the idea of a constitutional democracy at that time hadn't quite caught enough of people's ears to be like present itself as a viable alternative.
Fair.
Yeah.
Anywho's. What else is going on? Started playing Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Which you've played.
I've played, not finished, but I've played, and I've gone back and started playing it again to try and finish it. I'm thoroughly enjoying the game. How are you liking it?
I'm enjoying it. I'm playing it on the hardest level because I was like, I beat Elden Ring. I'm good at this. I'm a video game pro.
I don't think those two things are the same, right?
I don't think so either. I agree. But that's what I was thinking.
I think you should drop the difficulty, personally. I've played the game enough that I was like, I'm playing it on Expeditional, like the recommended difficulty, and I wanted to bash my head into a wall.
Nice.
I cannot imagine doing it the way you're doing it. It's just a nightmare. I started again because I realized I'd missed something and I wanted to go back and get it, right?
What was it?
So you know the mime fights?
Yes, I do.
There's one in Lumiere.
What the what?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Uh-huh. Yep. So
there's just a mime hanging out in Lumiere. That's crazy.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure I got that. I then later again learned that I think there's a new game plus, so you can get it on the second run. Like, you don't need to get everything in one go.
Okay.
And just because it was like, okay, I've played this, I just threw it on the easiest difficulty, and I'm having a much better time. It's really good.
I imagine you are. Where is the mime? I felt really railroaded at that part of the game into being like in very narrow corridors.
So you know when you're heading towards the dock?
Yeah.
Right before you get to the dock, there's like people doing magic up on a stage to the right. Like,
yes.
Just outside the Arc de Triomphe. If you go a little bit further to the right, it's just there. It's like in open sight of everything. Like,
that's crazy. I was wandering around. Like, I was kind of looking for stuff. I wasn't like obviously that looking for stuff because I didn't find the mime.
You didn't. But... I mean, I hate to point it out, but you didn't find a lot of stuff when I was watching you play that bit. You missed the people having sex, the guy in the trash can, the sculptor, the painter, the guy whose dad makes him a uniform for the expedition that you get to keep, and it's an alternative red costume for Gustav.
Yeah.
Like,
fair enough.
Yeah. You missed a ton of stuff. I mean, admittedly, I only found out about the guy in the trash can who had apparently been living in there for like 6 months. Right? Being like, if I hide, the Patriots won't gomage me. It's great. I've been here 6 months.
He's a 34. Okay.
Yeah,
or 33.
33.
He's a 33. Yeah.
So
it's one of those things where like they let you interact with the garbage cans and it always says it's a garbage can, dummy. But if you look at the right one, then you get a thing.
Yeah.
That's annoying. Okay. If you want to look at garbage cans, put interesting stuff in garbage cans more often than once.
And the people who are having adult times, you have to interact with them 33 times to get the reward.
That is messed up. What do they give you?
They give you a Lumina point. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's not nothing. I'll take that.
Yeah, I saw you playing. You're up to the Stone Cliffs.
Yeah.
Have you been spending Lumina points?
Yeah.
Because all of your guys have about 25 of what it looked like.
Yeah.
I did a thing where I gave all my Lumina points to Gustav, and he has 106.
I have 4 people and about 25 each.
Right.
So yeah, that tracks.
Well, but you get some for like leveling up, and they come with some, right?
And sometimes you find some on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've also you're not giving any to CL, are you? You don't use her.
Well, I should use her. What if there's a fight where I need her card magic?
I suppose.
Close-up magic. I mean, I don't know if I want to get into this yet, but man, having every single person have a wildly different magic system is like,
It's
and they're complicated too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, freaking Mael has stances. Anyone else have stances? No. Like, what's her face? The new person, Lisa. CL. Yeah. She kind of has different modes with the different sun and the moon, and I'm like, I don't know how this works at all. I read the words. I tried to understand them. I did.
Not gonna lie, I played CL's tutorial and said, I'm still figuring out my L. Yeah.
Not wrong. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it's like I feel like I should figure her out, but also I don't want to figure out a whole brand new magic system.
Yeah, it's in my head. I know I'm gonna get to a point of the game where it's like, and now you have to play as her.
And now it's a horrible fight unless you use her. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's gonna happen.
It has to. Otherwise, what is she doing in the game? Like,
yeah. Well, maybe you just want a different play style. It just could just preference.
Yeah. I mean,
it could be that too. I wouldn't be shocked if that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, her slides are really cool. I think they're like a neat looking weapon.
Yeah. Very cool. Her gambit kind of thing going on is kind of neat. Like, she's throwing playing cards around and like shooting them at people. I was like, all right.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm down. Yeah, when she flips off that cliff into the arena, I'm like, all right, that's presentation. Like, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I was looking at something that was like, I wanted to be like, am I done with the Gestural Village? So I just like got a guide and said, looked and ticked off stuff. And it was like, hey, when you go to fight in the tournament, make sure you use Mael for the final fight.
Right.
Did you use Mael for the final fight?
No, but as soon as I finished it, somebody came into my YouTube chat, was like, hey, you should do that fight with Mael. She gets the best sword. And I'm like, oh. And then they left. And I went back and did it with Mael. And I was like, thank you, person who randomly stopped by my stream at the right moment to help me with that. And I didn't have to backtrack like an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, see.
Yep. Dude, it was worse because I used Lune. And it was like, oh, you already have this weapon. Here's 100 chroma. And I was like, what the hell? That's not a reward at all.
Yeah, so I went back to finish the Gestural Village about 7 hours after I'd done that. And I'm like, I'm not redoing all of that. So I know you can get this sword at another point. You can get it if you fight the chief.
She's tough. Yeah.
She has 3 million HP. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not even on easy where you can basically parry everything. It's not worth it. It's not.
I mean, how long would it take? That's insane. That's a lot of HP.
Yeah. I mean, you can. I don't know. You can do, assuming you do max damage of 9,999.
Okay.
Pull out a calculator because that'll just tell us how many hits you need at least.
Right. That's good enough.
So 3 million divided by 999. That's at least 300 hits.
That's a while.
Should have been able to do that math in my head. I'm not gonna lie, because it's just basically dividing 3 million by 1,000.
That's true.
And that's assuming you can do max damage, which you probably can't.
Yeah.
So, not doing that at the moment. I'll come back to it and get her weapon later.
No, good call.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm getting some sound coming through. Oh, there it is. I raided a guy after my stream.
Uh-huh.
And I guess his window was there, but it wasn't making any sounds, and then all of a sudden it just started making sounds. Like while you were talking. So it's gone now.
Wild.
Yeah. Crazy wild.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, too many magic systems.
Yeah. It's a lot.
That's all.
Yep. Not gonna lie. So I noticed that you went straight from like the Gestural Village, got Esky, and then went straight to the Stone Cliffs where you are.
Sure did.
You didn't go.
Yep.
Didn't go and look around.
I was on the giant balloon man.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, let's see how he works. And I'm running around and kind of like figuring out what's happening. And then I see what look like cliffs. And I'm like, well, that's where we're supposed to go. So let's go to the cliffs. Okay. That's all that happened. I wasn't like, let's skip everything else. It was just the first thing that I saw. And I knew I was supposed to go there.
Okay. I'm just saying, I feel like there are several hours worth of content around that island that I don't know that I've seen you go do. And like,
that's fair.
In my first playthrough on the medium difficulty, I'm a little bit ahead of where we are now. And I just was like, okay, I'm on the easiest difficulty. Let's have a look around, make sure I do everything. And I found a whole zone I missed.
Yeah, I get that.
A whole 2-hour zone.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not trying to skip things. I promise.
And so I'm worried you're under leveled.
I mean,
under geared, under pictoed.
Maybe.
I
mean, I took forever to kill the first boss. That was probably like 3 hours of trying to kill that first boss. But every other boss has been all right. They haven't been cakewalk. Some of them have. Sometimes the boss is like 2 attempts done.
I mean, even going back to that first meadow area, I saw you miss places there.
Yeah, no, I believe it. Look, it's got a fast travel system. I assume you go back to areas you've already been, and you can do stuff. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back there at any point that you want.
Yeah.
You haven't.
No, I haven't. Because the game tells me to do a thing, and then I find the place I'm supposed to go to do the thing. I'm sorry. What?
Okay.
I mean, look, I'm doing some wandering. I'm just not doing as much to like fully flesh out every single area. I don't know. I think too, the overworld map is a little clunky. It just feels weird to run around in it, and
you should, when you load the game up next, walk around the overworld map and then turn back on the settings I told you to turn down, the post-processing one, the one that they call depth of field. It turns it all into a giant smudge. It's really bad to look at.
That's really stupid.
Yeah.
Don't like that at all, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You can ignore that. I mean, I just really need you to find the Gestural Beach where there's a platforming challenge.
I don't like platforming challenges.
Oh, but you'll love platforming challenges in this. A game not designed for platforming.
Dude, I've done a little platforming.
Oh?
There was a place in, I don't know, one of the zones where it has you platform across a bunch of like risen platforms. Some of them you have to run and jump and grab the edges of, which it is clunky as all get out. I spent probably 10 minutes trying to do this the other day.
There's a spot, and I was playing this morning. I'm like, have I already gone past it? I remember doing this, where you have to like do some platforming in a cave, and I don't remember where the cave is, but it's like, hey, jump to these things. And I figured out when I was playing it, if you just hold move forward and sprint and don't press jump, the gap is just big enough that you fall and grab on to every every section. So just don't jump.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny to figure out. Yeah, yeah. Kind of like in Mario, if a gap is small enough, you can just run across it. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I think the story got summed up during my playthrough today, where I think Lune was like, man, the more stuff we learn, the more questions we have. And I was like, uh-huh, that's how I feel, Lune.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean,
nothing makes sense. None of it.
what doesn't make
Nothing
sense?
makes sense.
What doesn't make sense?
Okay, so my first biggest question is,
Yeah.
you find a Gestrel, and Looney's like, holy shit, Gestrels are real. By golly, I've heard about them. I didn't think they were real. Who told you about them? Every expedition that's come out here has never come back.
That's not true.
How did you know? What do you mean it's not true?
So
Who came back?
After Sophie gets gommaged, and you're at
Yeah.
the little party for the expeditioners,
Yeah.
you can talk to Lune, and she's going over some data, and you're like, oh, we're going to go use the waypoints left by Expedition 100. That makes sense. They were the only expedition to have survivors that came back.
Oh. I talked to her.
I saw you have that conversation.
Okay, so 100 got some people back.
Yeah.
Then they died of old age because they were 100.
Yep. Well, they weren't
Okay, so
100
that's
years old. They were, they were. I mean, here's the thing. At the moment, the expeditions are all the people turning 32, right?
Yeah.
I assume that in year 100, they did not send the 99-year-olds out. They sent the 30-year-olds or anyone who was capable. They all went out, and some of them came back because they realized they would still have long lives to live, even back in Lumiere.
But if it was 100, how did they... Okay, so the paintress shows up, paints 100, and all the 100-year-olds get gommaged.
Yep, and then
everybody says, oh, this is probably going to get worse from here.
Yeah.
Even though it hasn't happened again yet, right?
Yeah, I mean, I assume that they also had a lot of
Like,
other problems with, like, parts of France exploding into the ocean.
Yes, they did, certainly. But, like, there's a decent chance the first time it happens that it's like, oh, okay, so everyone turns 100 and they dust.
Yeah.
Weird. That sucks, but they're 100, so whatever. Right?
Right. It's a problem for people
But then
in Japan,
as soon as she goes 99, everybody goes, oh, shit. That's when it gets bad, right?
Yeah, presumably. I mean, we
Okay.
don't know a lot about the fracturing, or at least I haven't learned a lot.
No.
But
No.
they apparently sent out expeditions straight away. And I assume they didn't send the 98-year-olds like they do now.
Right?
Right. So the people who came back definitely would have gommaged eventually, but they might have had 20 years in Lumiere telling people about what happened.
And then did those people ever be like, boy, I sure survived. Let's go back, learn some more, and then come back again? That never happened?
Maybe they tried and all died.
That's crazy.
At the point we're at now, all the people who have gone to the island have died, right? Because you send them out there and you've only got a year before they will get gommaged on the island. Well,
yeah.
Actually, the way that they describe it is Lumiere is the island and you're on the continent now. So,
Right. That's fair.
Yeah.
They do say that.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I mean, Mael keeps having these dreams and visions of the white-haired man on the beach that murked most of the expedition by himself.
Yep.
And I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like he's purely malevolent. He's not like, boy, I sure like killing expeditioners. It's my favorite thing to do. Wee, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's more like he's okay. This doesn't make any sense, but he says that it's Mael's fault. Like something bad happened. Mael's fault that something bad happened. And I would understand it more if he was like, you expeditioners, you people that keep coming here, you cause some major problem here.
So I don't know entirely what his deal is yet either.
Right.
But my theory is that if you get too close to the paintress, she'll kill you, and then your age is the number she writes next. And so sending a 16-year-old when the number is 33 is like, oh, it's your fault that this thing could happen, and that's what the old
But that's
guys.
not.
Because I don't
Yeah,
think
but it's
he's
not a
like.
future thing. He's not worried about a future thing. It's very much it's your fault. Like that to me really screams past.
I don't feel like it was a past tense thing, right? Like you shouldn't. He says like you shouldn't have brought her, or you shouldn't have come, right? And it's your
You should that makes you shouldn't have come makes sense to me. I can see that.
right,
Yeah.
and it's like it's your fault you're here, right?
Yeah. Yes, and it is.
Right, but I don't think it's. I didn't remember it being very much a your fault. This thing had already happened. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe Mael is
We don't
actually
know.
the paintress, but she's been reincarnated after she died, and he knows that, and
Right.
he's gonna kill her and unleash God. Then you have to fight God. Oh my God, it's so JRPG.
I mean, I would not be surprised because basic storytelling tenet at that point. I don't know. Did you think Alicia, the white-haired woman,
She's the one in
kind
the
of looks like
mask?
Mael? Yeah.
She's in a mask.
Yeah, but her eyes, I don't know. Something about her seemed familiar.
Maybe she's Mael's mom.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Freaking Gustav keeps going on about like the papers. They say we're a family. Haha, I adopted you, remember?
Yeah. They're really clunky about that. Like they're not quite sure how to smoothly integrate the fact that like she's his ward without it like having clunky dialogue all the time. Yeah. But I mean that happens all the time, right? Parents get gommaged and their kids are around and it's like, what do we do with these kids?
Yeah.
It's like, we have other adults here. You have children now. Enjoy.
I think that was another one of the conversations you missed in Lumiere where Sophie gets grilled about not having kids from another woman. She's like, how dare you be so selfish not to have kids?
Yeah. No, I got that one.
You did? I missed it.
Yeah. And I was like, you asshole woman. How dare you talk to somebody like that? It's their own personal decision, especially now, especially when the gommage is happening.
Yeah, and her little 5-year-old daughter is there or whatever, and it's like, oh, you're also getting gommage because you have a necklace of flowers.
She's got the flowers. Yeah, fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough. I mean, it's great setup for a world build. It's really, really well done. Whoever idea this was like, hats off, 10 points. It's a great way to introduce your world.
Yeah.
Okay, so you answered my first question.
Yeah, what else don't
But then
you
just like Gestrels. Like, they don't seem to particularly like the paintress, but they're literal paintbrushes that are sentient. And, like, they die all the time, but then they get resurrected in the sacred river. It's like, what are these things? What purpose do they serve? It seems like all they do is fight each other. This one guy built a gambling hall. That was fun, I guess.
Did you get the roulette picto from him?
Yes, I did. Well, from a door.
Yeah, well, you talk to someone on the other side of a door. I really like his question, which is like,
yeah.
If you like gambling, you'll know the answer to this. If you 50% of the time have a 50% chance to do 50% damage or 200% damage, what are the odds of that happening? The answers are...
what are the odds you do more damage over time?
Right. And it's like the same 200% or 50% or I don't care. And the correct answer is I don't care because a gambler wouldn't care about the odds.
Very funny. Because I said more and he's like, what are you, some kind of nerd? And I was like, what? So then you come back and say, I don't care. And he's like, perfect. That's the mentality we're looking for. Don't care about the odds. Don't care about the numbers at all.
If you go to the Gestural Beach, there's the platforming section that I mentioned. There's a Gestural at the end who goes, oh, but now you have to finish the quiz before I can give you your prize. I'm 6. What age would I gommage? And it gives you like 12 different answers from like 7 years, 9 years, blah, blah, blah. And then the other one is like all the way to like 27, which should be wrong. It doesn't matter which one you pick. He goes, yeah, you're probably right. I can't count anyway.
Well, and then Mael seems to understand them on a level that nobody else does for some reason. Like, she got separated during the white-haired man ambush. and then like spent the next 2 weeks hanging out with Jestrels, understanding everything about them.
And the creepy dude at the manor.
And the faceless guy who
What's going on
is
with
like the
him?
well, he's like the faceless boy, but they seem different.
The faceless
I
boy's
don't
like
know.
a shadow boy. This looks like a Nevron without a face. Not other Nevrons have a face.
Not a well,
Um,
like a hole where your face is. It's very
yeah,
similar character design, regardless.
yeah. So I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on with him.
Well then, Mael, like she knows how to manipulate the Jestrels.
Mm.
It's like, take us to your village, and it's like, no, and something like, okay, we promise to help you build a better, mech suit, basically, right? And he's like, well, I don't believe you. And then she looks at him and goes, I hate liars. We're telling the truth. And he's like, perfect. That's all I needed to hear. Let's go. And it's like, wow. So she very specifically knows what buttons to push with these guys.
Mm.
And there's another instance later where like Gustav's all sad because like he accidentally offended one of them.
Get out of my
And
way.
and she's like, it's a gestural. He'll forget about it in a minute anyway. It doesn't matter. Bye.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you have enough time with these things to understand the intricacies? And it's kind of hand waved like, well, I understand them better than people because they're simpler. And it's like, well, yeah, I get that, but they're still basically aliens. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Don't know. She just does.
Don't know. Yeah, she does. And I get the feeling like everybody you find is hiding stuff from you about what happened after the beach. Because you find Mael in this mansion and you're like, what the hell happened? How are you here? And she's like, I don't know. Like, I trained with a curator and I met some Jestrels. And it's like, wait, what? Like, how is that enough? What happened? And then what's her face is like, I don't know. I ended up in a forest somewhere and then a Jestrel here. And it's like,
portals, man.
I know. I just feel like everybody's hiding something from Gustav.
Esquier mentions that, like, oh, hello, my poor swimmer friend.
Yes.
So maybe she ran into the water at the beach and Esquier...
But she doesn't know how he would know she's bad at swimming.
That's a good point.
She says that. She's like, how the hell does he know I don't like swimming?
Yeah, I don't know. So, okay, I do have one theory about the Jestrels, which is you can find a little... Actually, no, you would have fought them in the tournament. So in the tournament, there's like Bertrand Big Feet and stuff like that.
Yes.
Dominique
the old ones.
Dominique Little Hands. So there's another stadium, not stadium, it's like a little fight club around.
They're doing jousting.
No. Outside the village, in like a whole nother zone, there's another series. You can fight them again, but they're a little bit harder. And you get unique pictos for beating them that all give bonuses for being the only person alive on your team.
Oh, okay.
So if you know you're going to have like a one-on-one fight, you can equip all these pictos that get big buffs. But one of them is called Dominique, and I found another journal entry from a previous expedition where someone in it was called Dominique. And so my wondering is, are Jestrels the expeditioners who have died and they get reborn in the Sacred River as ex-guarded paintbrushes from the paintress?
Ooh, dang. Like, kind of works for me as a theory.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of does, yeah.
I'm just, like, looking out for similar names at this point. Trying to find Jestrels who've got names of people in journals, you know? Because I don't know that's
Interesting
true.
theory.
Don't know that it's true.
I don't. So I like when you find previous expeditions' journals.
Right.
First of all, the least helpful while still being kind of helpful journals I've ever seen. One of them's entirely like, I ate some glowy mushrooms and it killed me. That's it? That's all you have for me?
Yeah.
You are deep. You are deep into the continent by now. Have some other information to give us, please. And he's like, no, I ate some glowing mushrooms and died.
Well, that's the problem with the expeditioners is they all got to the continent in a different way. Like some of them took a boat, some of them
Oh,
get airshipped there, so they end up at different
yeah.
points, and so
Okay,
they can
fair.
die immediately and be like, "Well, I didn't see a whole lot." I found some other ones that were like, so we tried to cover ourselves in dead Nevrons, like wear them as suits. Turns out Nevrons can sense each other by their chroma, and it didn't work. And then
Yeah.
you stop
Well,
reading and you look up, and there's a human head popping out of a Nevron with a spear through it. It's like, oh, okay.
yeah. I
So
mean, decent attempt. I'm okay with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if there's now a point in the game where you have to pretend to be a Nevron, I'm gonna be really upset that I specifically found the journal that said don't do that. It doesn't work.
There's no way. Well, I mean, it'd be funny if someone had the idea, and if you've seen the journal, then you're like, no, and you
Yeah,
survive. Yeah.
that would be good.
There's another journal that I found today where the guy's just like pissed off at the ruling body back in Lumiere.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's like, screw these guys. We need to take more drastic action than sending 10 random people to this place every year. Like, this isn't going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all the efforts we're doing to figure out what's happening on Lumiere is not enough. We need to send everybody to the continent to figure this out. Blah, 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 the end. And I'm like, so these are your political beliefs, sir. It's not helping me survive at all. Why are you here? Yeah,
So that was, I think, one of the guys who stole the airship.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how he
So
got
not
there.
actually an expeditioner. He's just a dude.
Yeah, I mean, he still definitely counts as like one of the expedition journals, though.
Yeah, it does. 66, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that one was extra unhelpful because everyone previous to this point had had like a little tiny bit of use.
I think one of the most unuseful ones was the one of the expeditions who drove. Like they managed to get cars onto the continent, and it's like I
yeah.
told them to slow down, and now I've got a concussion and I'm dying. Like it's like great, that'll be very helpful if I get a car.
That one was so funny. Yeah, I forgot about that one. That was great. Yes. 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 Anyway, good game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good game. Good game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn between whether I think the characterization is good or if I want a little bit more.
Um.
Because I do get the feeling like the characters know each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've known each other before this thing.
Mm-hmm.
They have histories with each other. They've got pasts.
Yeah.
And they refer to things. And I don't need them to explain fully what's going on in their past. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. A lot of it just kind of feels kind of surface level in a way that I'm not really buying. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
So the first hour and a half for me was spent exploring Lumiere with Sophie and Gustav. And
Yeah.
you get enough that like Gustav wants kids and Sophie
Yeah.
doesn't, and that's why they broke up. Right?
Oh.
Because there's another person you can talk to as Sophie, and she goes, and it cost me the love of my life. And assuming that that's Gustav and not someone else, right?
I mean, she's very popular. We know that. It doesn't have to be Gustav.
Yeah, I mean,
For story purposes.
we know it's Gustav, right? The person she
Yeah.
chooses to spend her final moments with is Gustav, right? And like
That's fair. Yeah.
just exploring like very beautiful Paris with these two couple that are clearly in love but like out of touch. It sold me on Gustav and his point of view, and from that it was very easy to buy into everything else of like here's his little sister who's like hell bent on throwing away possibly the last decade of her life instead of the last year. Her sister who like oh not her sister. Well, yeah, I guess if they're both siblings, her sister and his sister. She's like now running the council at Lumiere and is like, I can't believe my brother, this genius inventor, is like pissing off to go and do whatever on the continent. And she's like very against sending people. It's like it's a bloodless guillotine. We're just throwing people away and not getting them back.
Right.
Really sold
Which
me.
I understand that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was very easy to buy into other people's opinions by putting yourself with Gustav and being like, just like in that place emotionally for him, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Fair, fair. I guess part of it too is like Gustav gets separated from everybody during the ambush on the beach,
Mm-hmm.
finds some dead expeditiours and goes, "Guess it's over," and tries to kill himself.
Yeah.
Except Lune shows up, and it's like, so he was in such a dire mental state that he was gonna blow his own head off there.
Mm-hmm.
But then Lune shows up and he's back to normal. And it's like,
I don't know
I
about
mean, I get now he's not alone
right,
and like someone survived and now there's hope.
especially if it's the person who can do literal magic and like conjure a campfire for you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, I don't know. He just seemed to be like back to his old Gustav self from back on Lumiere like pretty quick. And I'm like, I don't.
Well,
It's a weird story beat to me.
um, yeah. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
I felt like he was in a like he stumbles across a lot of bodies and like all the blood's flowing out of them and he's like, "Oh, this is my
Yeah.
expedition. Anyone that's
Yeah.
not here is probably dead. I'm just like I'm going to sit down and check out."
Yeah.
You know,
Immediately.
immediately.
Like we didn't. Does not take a very long time.
No.
Yeah.
He thinks his sister's dead. He thinks everything's dead. He thinks his entire mission is to like kill the paintress or like for those who come after, and he is able to do none of those things. And then
Yeah.
Lune comes along and he's like, no, mission's not over. We can still do this. We don't need 30 people, you know.
Yep.
And so
I mean,
I think she pulls him out of that.
She does. The biggest part for me was he didn't find Mael's body. And if there's a chance that the person you are responsible for most in this world is still out there somewhere, go find her. And if she's dead and you can't find anyone else, all right, man. Like, I get it. Like, you failed. You don't really have that responsibility anymore. Like, I get that mindset at that point more.
See,
that's all.
When he sits down and like conjures the gun and starts to like put it to his head, the camera just kind of tilts, and Luna's just sitting next to him. Like she appears out of nowhere.
She does, which is weird.
My theory at the time was that Luna is a hallucination.
Figment. Yeah, I thought so too a little bit. I was like, ooh, that's weird. Yeah. But then the game spends the next very long time saying she's not a figment of his imagination.
The rest of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been interesting, though. An interesting thing to do.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It's never too late, I suppose.
No.
It's a group hallucination. Oh, well, they're all hallucinations.
Ooh, yeah. Yes. Shared hallucination. That's a thing. Shared delusion. Oh. Then there's the mansion. Like the mansion you find Mael in.
Mm-hmm. And all the doors
I've tried every door in that mansion, and they were all locked.
Yeah.
And then I'm in the Gestural Village, and I'm wandering around,
and there's another
and
door.
I find a door, and it takes you into the mansion, into some kitchen, with a door on the other side of the room that is locked. And you can like interact with different stuff inside the kitchen, and it makes some rumbly sound, like you're throwing a switch somewhere, and it's supposed to open a door or something like that. But I couldn't see anything happening.
Did you? Okay, so in the kitchen there are 3 switches that open up a vent in the floor.
On the floor?
Yep.
I didn't look on the floor. All right, I'll look on the floor.
Yeah,
but then
you come out through.
You leave into the mansion, right?
So
and then you leave the mansion and you're in the village again.
Right. So you're led to believe that in flying waters, that's where the mansion is. It's not. There's a hidden door in a variety of places.
That takes you to the mansion.
That takes you to the mansion. That gives you a little puzzle room that gets you some costumes or like a picto or something, and that comes out to the mansion. The mansion is wherever you are. So
yeah, and it's like it'd be nice if that was like some central hub you could always get back to like go somewhere else. But there's fast travel in the game, so we don't need that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is in the Great Hall in the mansion, there is a switch in there that I have no idea what it does.
Oh, so you threw it and it was like rumble, 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 then nothing happened?
Then I couldn't find anything else. I rubbed every wall with my face, or Gustav's face, and I just couldn't find it.
Yeah. That's great. I guess, more mysteries, huh?
Yeah. My pro tip for Expedition 33 is to run around as Lune. Because she flies, so she does not have a walking animation sound. Like, there's no...
That's true.
So you just fly around and it's silent. It's nice.
I've done that sometimes with her. It's fine.
Nope. It's great.
Again, one of my questions is Lune barefoot because she needs some connection to the earth for her magic, or is she the poorly disguised fetish of the game designer?
I assume...
Because when she flies, she's got a foot up. Like, the sole of her foot is, like, right there. And foot people are like, yeah, that's the stuff. Give it to me, Lune. And I'm like, why are we doing this in this game?
This game, directed by... Oh, shit, what's his name? Quentin Tarantino?
Does Tarantino have the foot thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I don't know. So there's a guy in Lumiere that you can talk to who explains to you about how pictos and stuff work, which is they can paint magic stuff onto objects, and that's how, like, guns and swords and stuff work, right? Like, they do magic through painting, but some people have done it to their bodies, and he is like, whoa, I'm not out on, like, people engraving magical glyphs into their skin so they can do magic.
And then Lune's doing it. She's got face tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah, she has tattoos all over her legs. So I just assumed that she discovered that if she wears boots while she tries to fly, it doesn't work. That's all.
Fair.
Yeah.
Sometimes she's walking on like rocks that look real sharp, and I'm like, Lune. This cannot be good for your feet. Yeah, all right. She's cool, though. She might be my favorite character. I like her.
She's good. I like her. I like Gustav and Mael a little bit more, but she's good. I like her. I like that, like, there's another character that you're going to meet pretty soon. And Lune's just like, so, you were around before. Tell me everything. And he's like, I'm not getting any sleep tonight. And she's like, no. She says something similar with SK if you go to the camp. It's like, oh, I'm gonna like investigate the shit out of this guy and like just grill him for details.
Yeah, she's like, you mean ask the centuries old being that has so much information? Yeah, I'm gonna spend some time talking.
Is he centuries old?
She says he is, but she doesn't know.
I mean, how can he be centuries old? In my head, SK is as old as the Fracture, at least. Like, he's a creation of the Paintress.
She says centuries. I don't know why she says that. That's fair. It's a fair question. I don't know.
It's another mystery we've got to work out.
Yeah, it is. Really is. But you being like, and you have to tell me everything that happened. So when you find Ciel. I think that means blue in French.
I mean, she does love the water.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
Sky in French is Ciel. Oh. Yeah, that's what it is. I knew it was something blue.
Okay.
It also works as a synonym for it, too. You can use Ciel as blue. Anywho's, look at me. I'm remembering French class from 8th grade. When you find her, she is like, tell us everything. And Gustav's like, all right. And he like hunkers down to tell him everything. And then Lune's like, we don't have time for this. We got to go. And they all leave. It was very funny. I was like, Gustav would sit down and explain everything that happened. But we don't need to hear it because we were there. Yeah. I was also annoyed with the game giving you things that you can't use yet. Did you notice that? They'd give you like the chroma things that upgrade your weapons, and there was no way to upgrade your weapons.
Until you get to the camp, and then you get to the camp for the first time, and you don't have the curator.
And you don't... Right, so you still can't upgrade your weapons. So I Googled it, and I was like, how do you upgrade your weapons? I'm getting stuff to upgrade my weapons. It says, do it at camp. I'm at camp. What the hell? And it's like, well, the curator does it. I'm like, well, now I'm spoiled about the curator. Awesome. It's just really poorly stepped out at the beginning there.
Yeah, I feel like they wanted to give you a bunch of stuff, and you be like, ooh, so I'm going to be able to upgrade my weapons. Cool.
Yeah,
even though you can't
great.
do it immediately. But then they keep giving you stuff.
Yes, so much stuff. Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know. It took me forever to figure out the difference between a Picto and
Lumina.
Lumina.
Yeah.
Took me like my third or fourth playthrough to be like, okay,
Oh,
I think I got it now.
I saw you on your first attempt looking at him and being like, okay, it says
What?
0 out of 4, so I don't have any points. And then you click on it, and then you click on, I think it's one of the marked. Like you only got 3 Pictos to choose from, and you're clicking on it, and it's clearly like it costs 5. You can't equip it because 0 out of 4 doesn't mean 0 out of 4 available. It means you're using 0 out of 4, and there's 4 available.
Yes. Yep, I get it. I get it now. I did not get it for about 3 playthroughs. Not at all.
I mean, I still get annoyed every time you open the inventory and you're like, ooh, new Picto, and you click on your inventory tab instead of the character. I feel like clicking on the character name is a faster way to go to your list of Pictos. Like,
that's fair. I get that.
Because
I'll start doing that for you.
Thank you. Just play the game the way I would. That would.
Well, and also it will sort by most recently picked up Picto, but I don't think that works. I was clicking it and it stayed on alphabetical order, and I was like,
saw that. I mean, I don't know because I've never used that. I've never had to sort.
Okay.
I just look for whichever ones. Whenever I get a new Picto, the first thing I do is equip it and go and find 4 people to fight so I can like master it and then take it off again. Right, if I don't want it.
That's fair.
So, I just sort, whenever I get a new Picto, I just sort by the one that isn't glowing, basically.
Right, the one that isn't awesome yet. Yeah. Right.
Which is funny because I found a Picto too. One that when you die, you explode and deal a bunch of damage to the enemy, right?
Whoa, okay.
And another one that at the start of a fight, you die. You're just like full health 0, boom, you explode. So...
Man... So many possible interactions. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you really wanted to, you can dump all your points into, like, Gustav and have the other 2 people die and explode immediately. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there are Pictos for boosting it when you're boosting your stats when you're the only person left alive.
Right. What an absolutely, like...
bonkers
brutal way to play. Yeah. Like, immediately my teammates die, and because they're dead, I'm... powerful now.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it? Like warlock stuff, like sacrificial magic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. I don't think I want to play that way. No, but that's nice. I mean, it's awesome that they're just like, here are figure stuff out. Like, play how you want to play. Find crazy overpowered builds if you want. We don't care. Like, go nuts. Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
It is a little restrictive where it's like, hey, figure out your own overpowered stuff. Also, this enemy has 3 million HP, but you can only do 10,000 damage at a time, right?
Right. So there are caps.
Yeah.
That's true.
But, I mean...
yeah, there's that one dude in the village who's like, if you can hit me one time for 9,999 points, you win. Yeah. And I was like, I sure can't do that, but
you can.
I'll come back.
You can.
Now?
Yeah. So the recovery thing that Gustav can do, where he heals himself.
Yeah.
Also gives you 2 charges for your overcharge. And if you hit him with so you just sit there skipping turns and then casting recovery on yourself 5 times. You can get 10 out of 10 overcharge, and that'll deal 9,999 damage.
Noted. That's cool.
Yep. It sucks because you're sitting there skipping turn, and then he goes, come on and hit me. And he's like,
he doesn't do anything fun, so yeah.
Yeah. It's a slug, but you can do it.
It is. I gotta say, the fight in the arena at the Justro Village was really disappointing. Like... I know they were like, these are old champions and they've lost a step, but I was like, these are the easiest bosses I've fought in the whole game.
Yeah,
that's all. They kind of sucked. That's it.
Well, I mean, they're paintbrushes.
I know. The mech suit they developed was way harder than these dudes, but I guess that's a mech suit. Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, you can go to fight that other arena, and it has all the same fights, but they're a bit harder.
Yeah, I'll have to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was fighting the mech suit to get into the Gestural Village, they were like, okay, if you break it, if you break the mech, holy crap, his exposed shoulder is here now. You can hit it. And I was like, okay. So I shot it and I was like, oh, cool. Like 800 damage. Neat. And then I continued along the fight. And in chat, Ozzy showed up and he's like, you got to shoot it a bunch of times. And then he drops his shield. And I was like, what?
Uh-huh. It's the same with like the catapults. You can shoot the catapults off and they can either like attack you with like a hidden knife they have. It's
Yeah.
effective.
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah.
It's
just stuff like that. Just not thinking to free aim attack the thing 8 times in a row.
Yeah.
That's all.
I just had a boss fight where there's actually you just fought one of them. There's like these big stone golem things.
Yeah.
I was fighting the chromatic version of that. I don't know that you've found any chromatic bosses yet.
I don't think so.
I mean, you can. You just missed them.
Sure.
They're just harder versions of basic enemies. And I got to a point where I'm just like, I'm hitting this thing and it's literally not giving me damage numbers. Is the game bugged? And it's like, oh, no. Turns out his rock glows a different color and he gets like resistances to damage. So you have to sit there and shoot the rocks until they change back and then you can deal damage again.
Right. So, like, on one hand, creative boss mechanics, cool. On the other hand, obscure boss mechanics.
Because here's the thing, I think of shooting as something that deals damage. If my spells aren't doing damage, my gun probably won't either.
No, and that's why I stopped shooting the shoulder on the mech boss, because I was like, I can do more damage with my spells. Why would I do this with my action point?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Same thing. Annoying.
Same.
Right. Anyway, it's good.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommend everyone play it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Music is great. Holy crap.
So good.
Just consistent. And they have like different music for different bosses. And oh man, it's always good.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good. Yeah.
Always good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me a little bit annoyed.
That's that.
You can find records to like play music, but only at
I
camp.
assumed so. Yeah.
You can't like play them whenever you want, just at camp. That's
a
little annoying.
That'd be nice. Yeah, if you could play it while you're running around, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
They have phonographs. They don't have Walkmans yet.
I mean, he's carrying the phonograph from camp to camp.
That's an excellent point.
It's basically a boombox. It's great.
Yeah, just carry it around. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. You definitely want to track every Neveron for a square mile.
Nope, not a one. I like too the questing where it's like, here's a thing, here's a quest, like light for the lamp for that one Neveron at the beginning, right?
Yep.
And you find an answer for it, and you come back and you're like, here's your light, and it's like kind of, but not quite. Try again.
Right.
Good luck. And I'm like, righty then. So yeah, I just get the feeling like, just keep your eye open for stuff as you're running around, and then if you remember this might work for this quest, you go back and do it.
Yeah, they're usually pretty straightforward. Like in the underwater one, there are all those little Neverons that are holding like sea mines as though they're party balloons.
Yeah.
You can find one that doesn't have a mine, and you have to go find him a mine, and it's like right around the corner. Like it's.
Poor, sad, murderous Neveron.
Yeah.
Huh. And then what? Then he's like, thanks. I won't try to fight you.
Yep.
That's cool.
All of those Neverons don't try to fight you. You can fight them, but apparently you get something if you just help them all instead.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be purely just genociding the entire place.
Right. Which, I mean, really, doesn't that maybe say that humans and Neverons could learn to live together?
Perhaps.
I mean, maybe, but there is a Neveron eating a mountain, so...
On the other hand, maybe it's not that cut and dry. Yeah.
Maybe
some Neverons are cool. Maybe that's the lesson here.
That might be it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Alright, that's enough of Claire Obscure.
I think it is. It's been good. All right. Warhammer time.
Warhammer. We read a book a week ago.
2 weeks ago. Well, we finished it a week ago. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We read Necropolis, the third and final book in the first omnibus of the Gaunt's Ghost series by Dan Abnett.
We sure did.
This one is so much more like what all the other books are going to be like, but nothing like the last two books. You know?
Okay.
Well,
right.
Still kind of like the last two in that it's about Gaunt's ghosts and they're, in the garden, they fight things. But it is one singular story. It is not. We're going to jump around and we're going to feel like we're 6 different stories that maybe relate and maybe don't.
Maybe there's a theme, maybe not. Yeah.
It is just the story of a hive defense. What's the name of the hive? It's not Pharazoka, that's the other one. That's the enemy hive. The one that fell to us. Vagast?
Sure, those guys. Yeah.
Sounds like you remember the game, the book very well.
I remember the story. I'm not good with names, especially not like entirely Vagast. What is that? That's not a name. That's 2 sounds put together.
That's all names are 2 sounds put together.
I know. Anywho, yeah. So bottom line, there's this hive. Things are cool. They're producing a lot of stuff for the military, for the Imperium. It's great. They're really important. Then a neighboring hive launches an attack on them. And they're like, trade war, I guess. This happens sometimes.
The fact that they call it a trade war is really funny.
It is funny, because it's literally a war. People die. It's not... oh my gosh, what's the word for a trade war? Tariffs and stuff.
Right.
It's not that kind. It's the actual violent people die kind. Very fun. Yeah. So then the Imperium's like, well, that can't let this hive fall. It's producing important military stuff for the Imperium. So they send down some Imperial Guard units and a bunch of tanks and stuff. And they're like, all right, handle it. And also the ghosts. It's kind of an afterthought. Nobody really knows they show up. Nobody throws a parade for them or anything. They show up late. They go in and they're just doing their thing. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how it starts. And then a big problem with the defense of this hive is that the person who is solely in charge of the defense of the shield is
insane.
Some dude floating in a tank all the time with little servitors he's rigged up to do things for him because he doesn't want to leave the tank at all ever. And he's nuts.
Yep.
And nobody before today was like, maybe this isn't a tenable situation long term. It was my biggest complaint about the whole thing. Seriously? This guy?
He's the planetary governor.
He is, and he's insane, and he's very clearly insane.
He gets to live in a tank forever if he wants. That's his choice to make.
Again, it's not that he's in a tank. It's that he's nuts. And if you talk to him for any length of time, he's nuts. The tank is fine. You can be in a tank. I'm not going to make you leave the tank, sir.
You're not a tankist. Okay.
No.
Well, here's the thing. He wasn't always in the tank because we get stuff from his perspective about how he had to kill his uncle, Hieronymus.
Predecessor.
Yeah, and he had to lace his own tear ducts with water to make it look like he was crying, which is not something you can really do in a tank. So at one point he probably came off much more normal, and
yes, this happens all the time. People are normal and then they go nuts, and if they have a very important responsibility, it should be taken away from them.
Right, but he's still capable of running the shield.
It feels like it's an on-off button to me. Shield up, shield down. I don't feel like this is a difficult job.
Well, it's not so much about the actual mechanics of doing the job. It's about the symbolic nature of being the defender of Hive Vagast.
Yes, I get that. I get it.
Yep.
That's all.
So,
but for story purposes, it's a lot more dramatic if the shield is down at some point. So, hey, the shield goes down.
Yes, the shield goes down.
Yeah.
Okay, So basically, another hive's attacking, and a whole bunch of war happens. Like, I'm not gonna skip over all of it, but just
I'm okay with that.
because okay. So my point is a lot of the war that we get are introducing a lot of new characters. Um, so mainly, I watched an interview with Dan Abnett after this book or about this book, and he said one of the things that he realized after writing the first two was that the ghosts are going to slowly die of extinction. They need no new people.
I had that very thought.
And the second one was he wanted it to be a mixed regiment instead of all men.
Yeah.
So at the end of the book, the rite of repatriation or something, where it's like, well, if you're disgruntled with how we defended your hive, join up and enlist today. Yeah.
You'll never come back again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so the ghosts get a whole bunch of new troopers, right? So most
Right.
of this book is setting up that, like, Tona Creed, as the book calls her, is this young adoptive mother of two infant children. Well, one's like a 10-year-old.
And prostitute, yes.
She's not a prostitute. When did she prostitute herself?
She's a what then?
She's a soldier? She's a gang girl.
Yeah. Do I have to look this up for you? Did you skip this?
I must have. When was she?
More than once they refer to her as...
I mean, I don't think anyone says that, like, she's a little something on the side for Trooper Kafran.
No, not something on the side. It's how she survives.
With who? When? During the war or before the war? She's like a little gang girl.
Before the war.
She says she's a gang girl and she's like run with some gang kids, but like every time they try to induct her, she's like, nah, I'm good. I know that's stupid.
Yeah, so she doesn't have a gang that protects her, and she doesn't have... What's her name again?
Tona Creed.
Do you have it? Tuna?
Tona. Tona.
Tona.
Tona Creed.
You know what that pulls up is every time the book says detonation, which is a lot. Tona Space.
Criid, I think is how it's spelled. Why am I spelling? I had the audiobook. This isn't fair.
Right? Book's really struggling on Creed here. There she is.
I don't remember her being a joy toy.
Right.
She's also, 16. Dan Abnett wouldn't do that to a 16-year-old.
It's Warhammer. Bad things happen all the time.
Right. Lots of bad things, but not that bad.
Underage prostitutes are way past the line for this universe. I don't think so. Maybe you're right. Where did I get that impression?
I don't know. She's a strong female character. Someone has to be a sex worker.
I guess. Sex work is real work.
It's true facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she was. Just...
Okay, well, sorry for that little detour there.
You didn't read the right book, right? You didn't hit the XXX parody? Necropolis or something?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Yeah, so other people that it introduced are like these Vegastite miners. The list of characters is Gold Collier gets introduced. Bandower is a guy. He's like a captain of the guard who gets his like hand injured or something, but is like hanging out with Gaunt and is like, I'm not gonna have to ask for a gun next time. I'm coming in. He acts as like a liaison between the ghosts and the others. Basically, it's setting up all these characters that are going to now join the ghosts and move on.
Right, which is fair.
Yeah. Another person that gets introduced is Merity Chas, who is a noble of the Hive who manages to find some equal station with Gaunt after an important moment of the book.
During the end of the world, all people are on the same level.
Yep.
Yeah.
They bang in a
Yep.
church, which feels like sacrilege.
Sure does. Gaunt's not particularly religious, though, we've found.
He's very religious.
It's not, he believes, but it's not like a core of his person.
I feel like it is, yeah.
Then what's he doing banging in a church?
I mean, to reproduce is the greatest act of worship for the Emperor. My only regret is that I have but one child to give to the Emperor.
That was not procreation, my friend. That was pure recreation. I'm just saying, I feel like if he was like super religious, there would have been at least a moment where he was like, well, this feels wrong.
They've put up a bunch
then does it anyway.
I mean, that doesn't stop priests. Like, they've put up a bunch of tents and stuff, and he's like running a command center from there. From the inside, it's like he's in a tent, right? He's in a tent in a church. You know,
fine, whatever.
Right. He's also exhausted. He's also just like expended. There's a moment in the book where he like takes full control of the military situation out from the other generals, right? Like he's like, I'm assuming direct control, and we get a moment of like, oh right, Gaunt was the commissar with the war master. Like he was attached at command level. He's been low key groomed for command.
And he's never had the chance to do it until now, but here he goes.
And then we basically get some hand wavy, and then he orchestrated the battle really well.
And he didn't sleep for 3 days, but it was awesome.
Right. Which, you know, is honestly, at some level, I'm totally down for them to just be like, and Gaunt was a super great commander.
Right. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
So real quick, back to the Gaunt's ghosts replenishing their numbers. This is something I've been thinking about ever since the first book, where it's like, we lost this guy, and we lost these guys, and we lost those guys. And I'm like, okay, you told us how many you got off of Tanith with.
It was about 2,000, yeah.
And you're specifically naming people that are dying and giving us numbers of groups that are dying. And at this rate, you're going to run out of people.
Yeah. They
fairly soon.
Dan literally tells us they lost 300 in a friendly fire shelling accident in the last book, and it's like, okay, so
exactly,
that's 15%.
And this stuff is happening a lot.
Yeah,
and it reminded me of Star Trek Voyager,
okay,
where they end up in the Alpha Quadrant, and they very specifically say we have like 27 torpedoes, and then for the rest of the series, they shoot like 800 torpedoes.
Well, did they say they lack the ability to do torpedoes? Oh, okay.
Yes, because they're in another quadrant of the galaxy. They are entirely stranded from the rest of the Federation. They don't have access to any of that.
Prime Bays 1 through 600. You know?
And they just go nuts with photon torpedoes the rest of the series.
That's really funny. But no, Dan Abnett.
So that's an example of doing this wrong. Yeah.
Dan Abnett does his job quite well, and he remembers that numbers are a limited thing. And so the idea, I mean, even Gaunt mentions it a little here, where he's like, I wish I had those kind of numbers deployed in my primary strengths, so like on every war. And he doesn't, because he's supposed to have 3 regiments, and he has less than 1 at this point.
Not ideal.
No.
Yeah.
He gets himself a new medic in Anna Kurth, who nearly gets needled to death in a subplot that's about a guy going crazy, you know?
She develops a relationship with the Ghost's doctor guy.
Who loses his son.
He does. But I mean, that was going to happen. You knew that.
I mean, it was going to happen eventually, but this is so early. I forgot it was so early. Like, I've read 12 books in this series, and there's old poor Doc Dorden, and he's the heart of the ghosts, and he misses his son. And I'm like, all right, he had a son who died a book ago, right? It was just the last book. No, it was this book. It was so early. I'm like reading.
And you realize I didn't know anything about this guy because he died so early.
I mean, yeah, but you don't need
to be a hint. He didn't survive 10 books because you don't know anything about him.
But the Doc does. The Doc survives 10 books. The son didn't, but it feels
Yes.
like the Doc's son always died in the last book. That's what I'm saying. Right?
Whatever. Sure.
Because the Doc is such so very much the heart sometimes.
He is.
He's
I
such
agree.
a good person.
He's great. He's awesome.
Yeah.
He says, never turn your back on a meth addict.
Yeah.
And he's right about that.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's been in the trenches. He knows how this works.
Yep.
So anyway, there's this hive war going on, and then it turns out one of the commanders goes out and he comes back and he's like, there are millions of troops out there coming for us. And everybody goes, that doesn't make any sense. There are this many people in the hive and they can only muster like 20% of them. So they can't have millions. This is ridiculous. And then it turns out that it's been infected by chaos. And every single person in the hive is coming to kill you. And that's why there are millions of them. It's a good moment. It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. So
yep.
That guy is a commissar who's been kind of relegated to this planet. It is a bit weird that the planet has its own standing army, and there was like a bit in the book where it's like, but they had to have their own commissar to keep them in line. This book doesn't refer to the planet's army as the PDF. Like, all planets have a PDF, and they don't necessarily have their own commissars, or certainly not Imperial Guard commissars.
Is this too early for a PDF? Like, it didn't exist yet?
Pretty much is what I'm getting at, yeah.
Okay,
This book is just old enough to be a little wonky. But it gives us all the political intrigue where this commissar desperately wants to get out of this place for, like, onwards and upwards better career reasons, not just it's under attack reasons.
Yeah.
And is willing to, like, lie, scheme, and manipulate Gaunt and whoever else into getting there. You know, which leads to a poor defense. And things go poorly. Like, again, it's really hard not to just be like, and then Gaunt won the war.
But he did.
But he did.
Well, yeah, and one by one, the other commissars who are there, ostensibly kind of trying to be working together, but there's all these rivalry things going on that prevent that.
They have the their own version of the commissariat just for their like local defense, but they act more like a secret police.
Yeah.
The VPHC, I believe, is what they're called.
And
so they
like try one of Gaunt's commanders for disobeying orders, like frivolously in the middle of the war, and Gaunt's like, the hell you are.
Right, and the order was like, hey, you have to go defend like the eastern wall, but the roads were clogged, so he tried to take like a shortcut through a warehouse, and they were like, no, our trade facilities, you can't, you're breaking orders. And he's like,
right,
the fuck you are.
like, that's not how war works, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what we're seeing is a lot of the political drama that we get in a bunch of other stuff where it's like mechanisms within the Imperium trying to work together, both thinking they have right of way, basically. Like, the Guard's like, well, we're here to defend you. You're under attack. We have priority. But they're like, we are the Vergastite Trading Commercia. We have been around for millennia, and you will respect our tradition and laws and only stay in the chem habs we left for you, you filth, you know?
Right.
And only
there's
drive on our roads. Nowhere else.
Yes. Like, war is war. They're not acknowledging that. Right. There's a good moment, too, where this guy who's, like, in charge of the pipelines for oil coming in, like, there's an order to close it down because troops can get through there. They're so big.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, but profits and stuff. And, like, we need the oil. And, like, we'll shut it at the very last second. It'll be fine. All this extra oil we're getting will totally make a difference. And then later they get sneak attacked by troops that come through the pipes. And they're like, who did this? And I'm like, I know who did this.
I know exactly who did this.
I was there when he did it.
What's even better is he's like, well, we've taken on a bunch of oil, and there's still gigatons of oil coming through. Coming through from where is another hive they just nuked, right?
Right.
So he's literally like, let's leave the pipes open just for the stuff that's left in the pipes. It's not even like it's going to be a permanent source of oil and that they could use that. it's just whatever's left in the pipes, but it's billions of like credits or whatever to this guy.
Yep.
Oh my god, and we're like, they just nuked the other hive. They just like, if they get in with atomics, you're fucked.
Yep.
Oh,
It's good.
really good.
That's a good moment. I liked it.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah. What else? Then I like the moment where it's like, as soon as the War Master realized that it was a chaos problem and not an interplanetary trade war, not interplanetary, in world trade war.
Right. He does also realize that the Heritor Asphodel is there. He's like one of the prime lieutenants leading this the Chaos Forces in the Sabbath world. So that's the weird thing. He's kind of just a dude who's like, he makes Dark Mechanicum stuff, and he's been swollen with chaos, right?
Yep.
I think in this book he gets described as being 5 meters tall.
He does.
And if he shoots Gaunt with a bolter, and it's like, okay, anything big enough to fit into his hands would shoot a bullet the size of Gaunt's head. I don't care what kind of growing metal Meredy Chass's dad gave him as a flower to put on his brooch. It's not stopping that, you know?
Yeah, I had questions about that part for sure.
So again, this book follows the Dan Abnett surprisingly doesn't know.
Not quite sure what the enemy is here this time.
Or just numbers, right? Like in the last book, it was like, and then the 500 Gaunt ghosts killed 1 million people. It's like, did they really?
It's like, sure, Dan.
Sure, Dan. This guy was 5 meters tall. Gaunt is 2.5 meters. Are you sure? Are you sure he's like a space?
You could reach up and stab him in the chest with a sword. He's like jumping, like, yeah. He did it anyway, though. Gaunt was the hero. Hooray. Yeah,
so the War Master does send, like, Titans and stuff to help wrap things up.
After it's over, like, that's the thing. He's like, oh, shit. Like, I need to get back there. 2 weeks of transit later, he shows up, and it's like, oh, thanks, man. Like, excellent work by your navigators on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of appreciate it because it's like space is fucking big, and that's how this works. And even if you need to get back there immediately, you can't because space is big.
Right.
I appreciate it from that level. Yes.
Yeah. And so he also is like, hey, you guys get to join up with the guard if you don't like what we did to your hive. Also, your hive is a dead zone. Like, you can't live here anymore. It's too fucked.
What we did to your hive was eradicated. So if you're upset, this is understandable.
A bunch of the noble houses will get to, like, wander off into, like, what can't be the greatest environments to start to rebuild.
No. I was pissed off. And they said this more than once. Like, the native Vehuvians, whatever you call them. Vergastites, who have worked their asses off and watched their friends die defending this place against the forces of chaos. Like, we did it. We pulled this off. We are so proud. And then the Imperium shows up and goes, we're condemning the whole thing. Screw you. Live somewhere else. And it's like, but also, what? Incredible. Like, what a moment. That's a very Warhammer moment. That is an incredibly on-brand Warhammer moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you do not matter. You do not matter as an individual, as a collective. You are gnat beneath the notice of the Imperium at large. Sorry.
Even as a valued member of, like, the operations of the War Machine, like, they were... They're a producer. They are, like, a net positive to the war effort. And they're like, well... it'd be more work to repair you than it would for you to rebuild. So fuck off.
So good. Oh, it's so good. It's so perfect. It is. Again, when anybody asks what Warhammer is, there are just certain moments in stories where you're like, here's something that happened. That's what Warhammer is. Right? And this is one of those things. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good moment, Dan Abnett.
It's good.
Because he could have been like, and then they defended their hive and they lived there forever and they were awesome and the Imperium thanked them. Like, that's not how these stories end. That's not how this ever ends. Yeah, it's good. What else? Oh, so like the little epilogue where the sculptor has to come in and like, do you not have this?
Um, maybe not.
A sculptor is given the job of like creating a statue to commemorate the hive.
No, I don't think I got that.
Oh my gosh.
What happens
Man,
there?
it's kind of boring actually.
Okay.
Because he's like, okay, I guess. And then the person who commissions it said, like, you need to go there. Like, hang out with the Gaunt's ghosts who are clearing out small bits of resistance in the hive, embed with them and figure out what it is, and then you can make your statue.
Oh.
So, like, it's okay. He meets some of Gaunt's ghosts, and, like, he gets shot at a bunch. He helps fix a flamer. Like, it's fine. And then he makes a statue, and it's great. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they needed it, which is probably why it's not in your audiobook.
It's just an extra bonus story that Dan threw in for the omnibus.
It must have been.
Yeah.
And that's why it feels like it doesn't fit, because it wasn't there originally.
Mm.
So I'll just give you this part, which I liked. He says, it's become my most famous work. To say I was really, truly pleased with it, I'd have to raise a hand, like Fagor. Anyway, it means he's being sarcastic. I've done so much since that seems to me more important, but you can't choose what you leave behind. A single Imperial guardsman, cast in steel, rendered down from the broken weapons left in the ruins of the hive. It's not even specifically a Tanith ghost, and it has no special likeness. One fist is raised, not in victory, but in determination, a gesture like the one Baffles made. There is a set to the shoulders that resembles Colonel Corbeck's relaxed stance, a set to the head that always reminds me of Trooper Bragg's reassuring backwards glance. There's Milo's honesty in it, I like to think, and Ron's venom. It has, like all statues, Emtag's awful stillness, who died while he was there. It's called the Chass Memorial, and on the plinth it announces in large chiseled letters that House Chass paid for its construction in memory of the fallen of Vernheim.
Okay.
That's it.
They're neat.
So it's fine. Yeah. Again, it doesn't really add anything, but it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I like when we find these things.
Bits of Warhammer that you know that I don't.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. So I've only got two other things that I can think of worth mentioning.
Okay.
Which is one of the miners, Golcolia, I think is his name. It's we're led to believe that he's like doing this for his kids, who he swears up and down have died in the hive, right? But like at the start of the book, like they're with their mother, and the mother dies, and then Tona Creed takes these two kids. Those two kids are now with Tona Creed. She's both signed up with the Guard, but so is Golcolia. And he's like, my kids are dead. I guess I'll join up with the Guard. And she's like, I need a way to look after these kids. I'll join up with the Guard. And it's, there's a plot point there to note and to hang on to, that his kids are alive and being raised by someone else in the regiment.
Right. But also, can you bring kids to the regiment? No one else has kids.
Yeah, so that's the thing that they touch on, Dan touches on in other books, which is...
Okay.
The regiment eventually ends up with this, like, train of people moving around with it. Like, people who, like, live with the regiment because they don't have a homeworld to go to. So that a homeworld kind of grows around them, where it's like, okay, people start taking wives, the wives start having kids, and then suddenly you have all these other needs. Like, people need places to get their clothes stitched and stuff like that. So tailors start getting jobs, and they just follow the Guard around permanently. And it's like, okay, you guys are getting deployed there. We'll be on the ship waiting for you, And they all just kind of... Sometimes they deploy and, like, live on planets for 6 months at a time.
Yeah. And I mean, that's got some
historical merit.
Correlation to existing historical battles, too. Yeah. Just like... little tent cities of just like citizens that show up and provide services and stuff for the army. Yeah.
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 Um,
Cool. Is there anything else? There was two you said, right?
yeah, I probably should have started with this one, which was Larkin gets a bit snicky with the idea of females and the
Yes.
and he doesn't like the idea that females could shoot maybe as well as he could. And he's like, well, I can say whatever I want, they're deaf. And she goes, yeah, but we can read lips, dipshit.
That was good.
Which, that was really fun. But yeah,
That
so
was very fun.
two major things, which is there will be, not that, maybe depending on the wheel, we might get God again, who knows.
Mm-hmm.
But inside the regiment politics of like, should there be women is maybe a talking point that Dan goes, that's probably a good idea to have. It's a big change for the existing guardsmen. Make it a plot point. Don't just gloss over it. You can hand wave the battle, but you can't hand wave everything. And that's not something. I think he does a really good job. So it's just something to note going forward. I think it's interesting to see.
Okay. Good stuff.
Did you have anything? Anything else? Or is it time for the wheel?
I don't know. I just feel like Gaunt at this point, in the course of like 2 days, simultaneously wins an entire war against a ginormous Chaos army, and personally murders the Chaos infused antagonist that the War Master is personally coming to handle.
Mm-hmm.
And if the next book it's like, and then he's hanging out with his ghost, taking orders from other people again, I'm gonna be like, how does anything work out here? Honestly, how does he not have a better job?
So, you gotta remember he did also assume command by deposing another general as a commissar, and that dual rank is keeping him out of a lot of positions. Because what we're basically told is that the new War Master doesn't have to favorite the old War Master's favorites.
Right.
And that is seen gone basically sidelined. And they do not... it probably comes up more in other books, but they don't like the idea of a dual ranked member leading their forces. You can't be both commissariat and guard. They do not like that. So they're constantly trying to, stifle his promotion because they don't want him getting to higher command levels where he basically has direct authority if he really wanted. So they're trying to keep him at his level or, out of the way or killing him. There are a lot of reasons and politics for why he basically in the next book goes, all right, I'll take some orders from someone else. He doesn't make the jump from colonel to general in the next book, right?
Right. Okay. I get it. I just feel like at some point somebody would be like, this guy is too talented and lucky and all these other characteristics to keep him down there. You know what I mean?
You're assuming the meritocracy of the military would recognize him eventually?
On some level. I'm not saying make him War Master, but it's helpful to have somebody like this running around at a bigger position.
Yeah. The problem, I think, maybe is that we already have a goal for what he wants as, a career, which is to win the Ghosts of Planet. The rights of resettlement is something we know he needs. Well, he's already been offered. He just needs to go and win. And so they're like...
Yeah, they explain later that that's never going to happen because there's always someone else helping them. 1,000.
Yeah, it's unlikely.
They explain that in this book.
Yep,
yeah.
They explain that. But, it's still the intended idea, I guess, is well, it'll never happen, but maybe, They're living on a prayer.
So our goal is to continue to lose ghosts to war, because that is war, replenish our numbers with people as we can, and eventually there will be no more people from Tanith left at all, and Gaunt will die from old age, and the story will be over. That's your goal at this point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Tanith people be having kids eventually, though. Right? They might not be born Tanith, but they're Tanith.
Fair.
Yeah.
Can you really be of a dead planet? You know what I mean?
Ask the Cadians. Also, as for Gaunt's motivation, you said he's not a very deeply spiritual person, but he is on a holy crusade. Like the Sabbath World Crusade is a. I don't think you probably haven't come across this, but the Sabbath Worlds are called the Sabbath Worlds because Saint Sabbat went and won them for the Imperium. So they're all considered holy worlds. That's what we're doing here. We're reconquesting holy places.
I get it.
Yep.
I'm just saying. Let me just say this: as somebody who was deep in a religious organization for the first 35 years of his life, he doesn't feel like that to me. It doesn't feel like he's deep in it. It really doesn't. He's committing war. He's loyal to the Imperium. He will fulfill the goals of his bosses, but he doesn't feel that.
I mean, you just listed 3 very spiritual things in 40K. Loyal to the Imperium, doing war, loyalty to your bosses. Those are all.
If that's all it is, then fine. Fine.
Okay. Look, maybe in another book or 2, I should look up which one's next. He maybe gets sent to go and guard some relics if it helps.
I'm just thinking, what's her name? Keeler, right? Keeler's deep in the Emperor God idea. She believes hard. There are other people around her who believe hard. Gaunt does not believe hard. He is not them. Okay, that's it. Okay. That's all. And again, if all it really practically means is that you're loyal to your commanders and believe in the Imperium, then great. Highly religious man Gaunt is. Because he is. Those definitely define him, for sure.
I mean, I will say he made his command post in one of the smaller sanctuaries. He was like, he didn't go, not
practical.
Well, practical, because the bigger one was bombed out, I think. But
right, that's what I'm saying.
But he could have chose anywhere, and he still chose a church, right?
That was actually kind of a cool moment where he's like, "Hey, priests who live here, we're kind of invading your space. Is that okay?" And they're like, "Actually, the holiest thing you can do is fight wars in the name of the God Emperor. So rad. We'll say some chants for you."
See, holy man doing holy man things in a holy man place. I'm sorry, he doesn't come across Mormon enough for you.
No, Keeler enough for me is what it is.
Zealous enough. You just want the
zealous enough. I think that's a good word. Yeah.
All right. Is that it for Necropolis? We onto the wheel?
Onto the wheel. Let's go.
Onto the wheel.
3 hours into this podcast.
We're going for a record.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what is our record?
2.5, I think.
We might break it.
All right, here's the wheel. As you can see, some things are getting quite big as they get bumped up. Abnett, Space Marines. I decided to leave Imperial Guard on there, but they're all got a tiny little sliver. It's going to be very unlikely.
What did Doc Bravo want so bad? Night Lords? He wanted
Night Lords. Yeah.
Was it only there was the Fabius Bile stuff he wanted too?
Oh yes, they're on here. I think. Actually, nope.
No Fabius Bile.
Nope,
there it is. There it is. The omnibus.
I see
it.
Chaos Space Marine here. Soul Hunter. That's also an omnibus. I just didn't put it.
Got it.
Yep. So fingers crossed.
Here we go.
Chaos Space Marines.
It's gonna be Imperial Guard.
It's such a tiny sliver. It can't be. Oh.
Doc's gonna be so mad.
Assassinorum Kingmaker.
Hey, not Imperial Guard.
Not Imperial
Assassinorum
Guard.
Stuff.
But we get to watch some assassins.
Yeah, we've got some of that in Horus Heresy. We've got some Assassinorum stuff.
We have.
It's not new.
It's not new.
Not a new concept.
Well, nothing in here is going to be a new concept. Well, no, that's not true. I think there's some Eldari books.
It is not true.
Eldari books and some Links of Votan books.
I mean, we've had Eldari perspective before.
True.
But what's the other one?
Leagues of Votan. They are Space Wolves.
Oh.
Space Wolves.
Oh.
Squats.
Okay.
Squats. So, Assassinorum Kingmaker.
Assassinorum Kingmaker. Amazon knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it would.
Why are you offering me a paperback book, Amazon? That's not how this ever works.
You don't want a paperback?
You know that. I've never bought a paperback book from you in my life. Where is the Kindle version? There it is. Okay.
By Robert Rath. So not only is this an assassin book, if I remember correctly, this is also a knight book. The assassins get sent to a knight world where they're like... Knights are like little titans.
Oh, yeah. We've had knights before. I read knights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a knight right there. If you look in my... It's like right in the background. I'm usually blocking it, but there's a little chaos knight right there.
By golly, look at that. They're cool.
They're cool.
What was the... Yeah, we read a big story with them. There was a whole culture based around it. And...
We definitely read something.
I know, but what happened? They all died, first of all. Well, it was real bad.
I mean, the assassin book we read, they all died. It was real bad.
Yep. Welcome to Warhammer.
What was the knight book we read? Was it an Abnett book in the Horus Heresy? Or
I think so. It was just this random world that just had this huge culture of Nightmare. And like the lords and the king were riding out on X.
Was it Moloch where Horus comes down and there's like a chaos cult, but it's...
Yes, it was the Moloch story. Yeah. They were a side story in that.
Yeah. Because they were like, we run the planet and also I'm gonna do my sister. You know?
Right. Yeah. Right. There was incest in that story. And good stuff. All right.
Is it telling or worrying that that's what I remember from those people? That they're like super perverted rich people and they're just like, whatever goes.
And and there are like, I don't know if it's like inbreeding, but there's like crazy weak people that either they've been poisoned. There's like one dude who's like kept in a tower.
He's like the old king, and they're like, well, we didn't kill him in regicide, but we like usurped the throne by just like poisoning his brain. But he's actually like pretending, and he comes out at the end being like, bitch, please, you thought you had me.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That was good. So that's these guys. Well,
an offshoot.
Not really. Yeah.
Same idea. Maybe not so chaosy.
Maybe different execution. Right. Good stuff. I've noticed too in the introduction to the 40K stuff.
Yeah.
It specifically calls the Emperor the Carrion Lord of the Imperium.
Yeah.
Like that feels like what anti-Emperor people say.
Yeah, you'd think.
It's just a weird term for the introduction of every 40K book.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's in the codexes, like the original one, like that big screed of like, to live in the Imperium is to live in the worst regime imaginable, you know, living to only feel the endless wars of a tyrant of the Carrion Lord, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
That screed is 40 years old. It's in everything. It's at the front of everything.
Yeah, and then they spend a lot of time humanizing the Emperor. Next, whatevers.
Yeah, I mean that came later. That came later.
That's what I'm saying. Came a lot later, so it just feels weird. Yeah.
Ooh,
Again, not that the people who are like your dead god on his throne of the Carrion Lord. I'm not like, you are not wrong. Like, I'm not telling this.
So, okay, two things. One, there is a new Horus Heresy book coming out.
What?
Not Horus Heresy.
How?
Siege of Terror. Siege of Terror. Siege of Terror. It is an anthology of books. I think that are all supposed to like wrap up things after the event, after the thing, which might include Guilliman finally making it to Terra.
Which they sure skipped over in the Horus Heresy. That'd be nice.
So that, you know, hopefully the audiobook of that comes out real quick so I can read it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But I'll probably add it to the wheel.
Oh, so they were like, boy, that Falcon sure felt like it was an abrupt ending to the whole thing. Would have liked more time on Terra after what happened. We should write some books, and then they did. They're so nice.
Maybe. It's called The Era of Ruin. So, and I believe one of the books in that is called The Carrion Lord.
Okay.
So that's neat.
That is neat.
Yeah.
Because how does it, like, the Horus Heresy is like, Horus dies. They drag the Emperor back to the throne.
Mm-hmm.
They boot Malkador off of it, and they put him on it.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, the end. Thanks for playing, everyone. It's like, but what about the Fallout? And they're like, we are not interested. This took us forever to do. We're done now.
This took us so long to get here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad they're filling some of that out, because I did have questions. I was interested.
Yeah. I'm really hoping we're getting more Keeler and like establishing the church.
Yeah, that's good stuff too.
I really hope for that.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed. And the other thing that I want to say is one of my favorite lore tubers, YouTubers who make lore videos, put out a video of was the Emperor really a bad dad? Is that like memes or is it true?
Mm.
And he makes a great point for the Emperor is a good dad. That's all I'm gonna say.
I see both sides. I've always seen both sides. I get people who are like the Emperor is a neglectful parent and he's the reason everything went to hell. And I can see the side that's like he did his best and it was a terrible position he was in and he made mistakes, but so do people. And it's not his fault entirely. Like I get all of that. I get both sides of it.
I'm just letting you know it was a great.
Yeah.
It's worth a listen. You don't have to sit down and watch. You can, but I mean, I just listened to it.
Well, send it to me then. I'll give it a chance.
Okay, cool. I will.
Okay.
All right. That it for the 2 hours and 16 minutes? Or are we really gonna try and break the record?
I mean, I don't know. Do we want to?
I mean, it assumes I know what the record is accurately, right?
That's a good point. Nope.
Can you filter by length when sorting YouTube videos? No. Visibility, views, title, made for kids, description, copyright, or age restriction, but not length.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding out what the actual answer to this question is
a mess.
A mess.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out, and then we'll know for later.
Sure, we'll beat it next week.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's wrap it up then. Oof. This has been Falcon Paladin and Somicron with yet another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour, streamed live at twitch.tv/Somicron. Also, the VODs show up at youtube.com/@Somicron. If you're more of a YouTube VOD person, which I understand, you can support the podcast at patreon.com/Somicron and by buying merch at falconpaladin.store. So do all those things if you want to read the book with us and follow along next week as we talk about Assassinorum something.
Kingmaker.
You can. Kingmaker, that's the word. You totally can. It'd be fun. That's it. We'll be back in a week. Stay safe, healthy, be around, ask us questions. Sometimes we read chat. Bye.